For too long, Florida elections have gathered local, statewide, and national attention for some unusual conduct, for some bizarre conduct, and yes, for some illegal conduct. Who can forget the peculiarity of the hanging chad controversy in the 2000 presidential election? Florida election officials with large magnifying glasses were photographed intensely studying tiny slivers of cardboard, trying to determine if the cardboard was a vote, or an accident, or something else. Who can forget the 1997 City of Miami mayoral election, where my public corruption prosecutors and I charged 56 people, including a then-sitting city commissioner who helped orchestrate one of Florida's worst cases of voter fraud. It ended up that our Miami-Dade courts ordered that an entirely new election be held. Other cases we have prosecuted include attempts to steal voter data, absentee ballot fraud, and many others. Sadly, too often, things like this come to the mind of people who think about Florida elections. Then, we have the unusual aspect of November's Florida Senate District 37 election. It had 3 candidates running for the same Senate seat: a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent, also known as a no-party affiliation, or AKA candidate. In the end, it had a paper-thin recount victory margin of 32 votes. It had 2 candidates, both named Rodriguez. The incumbent was Senator Jose Papier Rodriguez. The NPA candidate was Alexis Pedro Rodriguez. Today, we are alleging that November's Florida Senate District 37 election involved crimes. Today, we are alleging that Frank Artiles paid Alexis Pedro Rodriguez almost $45,000 to run as a candidate in this race, merely to use his name to confuse who? The electors, and to falsify qualifying paperwork as a candidate. It is that crime which brings all of us here today, gathered to talk about criminal charges and what we are bringing against him. The criminal charges against former Florida State Representative and former Florida State Senator Frank Artiles and Alexis Pedro Rodriguez. By the way, as we speak, the arrest affidavit is being emailed to each one of you. It will have all the details. Also, I want to make clear that in this investigation, there is no indication that Senator Ileana Garcia, a winning Republican candidate, was part of Frank Artiles' alleged plot. So, with me here today, you see a great group of investigators and prosecutors. It is this investigative team that put the pieces of this case together. I want to start with Howard Rosen, who is our Chief Assistant of Special Prosecutions, which oversees public corruption. This is Howard Rosen. Howard, great job. And to his left is Deputy Chief Tim Vandergiesen, who is the head of our public corruption unit. He has been the prosecutor that has been navigating this with all his task force. He leads the task force, and I want to say publicly how proud I am of the work that you've done over the years and what you did on this case. Thank you so much. We also have our lead detective, T.C. Zapero. This gentleman here. We have investigators Frank Castillo, Giovanni Cuervo from the City of Miami Police Department, and of course, Chief Rob Papier for the City of Miami Police Department. I want to stop just there for just a moment. Chief, I want to thank you very much. Your task force has been with us from the very beginning when we formed the Public Corruption Task Force. And I thank you for the contributions you've made to making these public corruption cases, and to the great team that you had on this case. So, many people would think that running Alexis Pedro Rodriguez as a less than transparent, non-party affiliate, an NPA, or a ghost candidate is what we are charging Frank Artiles with today. But that is not the case. Running a ghost candidate like Alex Pedro Rodriguez is not a crime in Florida. These things are not crimes. Is it an attack on our democracy? Is it a dirty political trick? Absolutely. This kind of trick is always used against an existing office holder. It's to confuse the public. And the characteristics are always the same. An unknown person that will not campaign, doesn't put any effort into a campaign, won't reply to media contacts, is suddenly on a ballot. However, what is a crime is making illegal campaign contributions to get a candidate to run. Again, I want to be clear. As mentioned earlier, at this time in this investigation, we have not uncovered evidence that Senator Ileana Garcia was a part of Frank Artiles' alleged plotting. That is another unusual aspect of this particular District 37 Senate re-election. Sadly, Frank Artiles knew he could manipulate Florida's election system. That is the most blatant aspect of this dirty election trick. But, as I said, it is not a crime in Florida. Today, Frank Artiles and Alex Pedro Rodriguez are being charged with allegedly and knowingly violating Florida's campaign election laws. Specifically, they are charged with, and I think you can, they're specifically being charged with voting or elections, falsely swearing in connection with voting or elections, which is a third-degree felony, making or receiving 2 or more campaign contributions in excess of the existing limits, which also is a third-degree felony, and conspiracy to make those contributions is also a third-degree felony. The plot that Artiles allegedly put together started on May 15, 2020, when Alex Pedro Rodriguez was contacted by Artiles via Facebook Messenger. Rodriguez and Artiles had known each other for 20 years, but the contact kind of surprised Rodriguez as they'd not spoken in almost a year. Then, Rodriguez made telephone contact with Artiles and was told that Artiles needed Rodriguez's help in a political matter. According to Rodriguez, Artiles allegedly discussed a type of "you help me and I can help you" scenario. Rodriguez interpreted such statements as meaning he would receive financial help from Artiles or receive business favors, as Artiles appeared to be very well connected. Rodriguez stated he was experiencing dire financial difficulties and agreed to listen to whatever Artiles had to offer. Artiles asked Rodriguez if he was still living at his Palmetto Bay residence. Rodriguez indicated that he was now living in Boca Raton. Artiles requested they meet at Artiles' house, which they did later that same day. During that meeting, Artiles proposed that Rodriguez run for the seat in District 37. Artiles allegedly offered to pay Rodriguez $50,000 for his participation, $25,000 during the election, and another $25,000 after the election. Artiles allegedly explained a very simple strategy. With Alex Pedro Rodriguez sharing the last name as the incumbent senator, Jose Javier Rodriguez, his candidacy would confuse voters and influence the outcome of the election. Rodriguez agreed to help Artiles with his campaign narrative. Artiles explained to Rodriguez that he would not be involved in any part of the campaign, nor would he have to participate in any of the decision-making. Rodriguez had a driver's license that reflected his old Palmetto Bay address instead of his present Boca Raton, Palm Beach County address. Artiles instructed Rodriguez to go to the elections department in Doral and change his party affiliation from Republican to Independent, which is no party affiliation. On June 10th, 2020, at Artiles' home, Rodriguez filled out all the necessary campaign paperwork as directed by Artiles. The next day, Rodriguez met Artiles at the City National Bank to open a campaign account. In the parking lot, Artiles gave Rodriguez $2,000 in cash to open the account. After the account was opened, Artiles rushed to the airport for a flight to Tallahassee to file the required campaign paperwork with the Department of Elections. And that is how the NPA candidacy of Alexis Pedro Rodriguez for Senate District 37 was born. From June 11, 2020 to November 19, 2020, Rodriguez allegedly received almost $45,000 from Artiles in the form of cash, cashier checks, and credit card payments towards various accounts. In charging both Frank Artiles and Alexis Pedro Rodriguez today, we are alleging that these various payments blatantly violated Florida election laws. These payments were intended to influence the outcome of the election. Frank Artiles had formerly been elected to the Florida House and the Florida Senate. He knew then, and we are alleging that he knows now, that he was blatantly thumbing his nose at the law. His outlined actions seem to say that those laws were meant for others and not for Frank Artiles. Let there be no mistake about it. These charges today say the law applies to everyone.